I hit a wall. And I remember being curled up in the fetal position, crying. I was hysterical. And all my husband could do was just hold me. There was nothing he could say. That I just needed to get that out. And that was a moment where I thought, okay, I need to be talking to somebody to kind of get this out, to express how I'm feeling and learn how to deal with it. So I've been in therapy now for about a year, every week or every couple of weeks, depending on my crazy schedule. And it has been extremely.
Hey, 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 I am Brianna Harmon, and this is the Millennial Mommies Club, an original podcast dedicated to all of the millennial mommies out there killing the game. Whether you are single, married, or expecting, this is the place to be during your 15 minutes of downtime. Welcome to the Millennial Mommies Club.
I'm a fun mom.
I am a patient mom.
I am a conscious mom.
I'm a creative mom.
I'm a millennial mom.
What's up, mamas, and welcome back to the Millennial Mommies Club. This space here that I have with me, you've probably seen on HLN, Morning Express, BET, Fox Sports, and so many more. Melissa Knowles, just mom, wife, on air. Welcome.
Thank you for the warm welcome. It is so lovely to be here. Can I just say, this is the first podcast I've done in 2022.
Really?
Thank you for the invitation.
Honored.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yay. So, I want to get right into just your journey.
Sure.
Talk to me about how you got to where you are now, and then we'll tap into that mommy journey after.
Yeah. Hard work and persistence. I would say those are the two keys to this journey, me getting to where I am at 40 years old. Not afraid to say it.
And don't look.
Thank you. Right after college, I was pursuing a degree in law. People don't know that. It's because my mom and my dad, really my mom more than anyone, pushed me towards going to law school. My mom's a lawyer, my dad's a lawyer. They're like, no matter what you do in life, if you have your law degree, you can go so far. But I'm just like, I don't really want to do that though. And like, don't you really have to be invested in that to pursue that kind of degree? So secretly, I was sending out my reel. And this is back in the day when you had to have VHS. I know y'all out there like, well, VHS, you can laugh if you want to. It's the truth. I was sending out my reel that way. There was no digital format.
How'd you get your reel going, though, if you were focused on law?
In college.
Okay.
My undergraduate degree is in broadcast journalism. So I had content to put on my reel. Now, it was student content nonetheless. Counts. So I sent out a paper resume. I was sending out my VHS reel and just waiting and hoping to hear back. Meanwhile, answering phones from my mom at her law office, right? I get this call one day from Channel 1 News, which was an educational network that broadcasted directly into high schools and middle schools all across the country, saying they wanted to fly me out to LA. I was like, which one of my friends is playing? Because that's not really about to happen. But it did. It happened. They flew me out to LA, and that was the beginning of my journey. While I was at Channel 1 News, I started being the sports beat reporter. They assumed, because I was from Texas, and rightly so, that I was into sports. And so they would send me to different events. I got to cover the Super Bowl. I got to meet NBA stars. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And from there, my journey took me into sports and then eventually into entertainment. And then right here to Atlanta, HLN and CNN. Yeah.
Wow. And you've been with them now for how long?
Almost 8 years.
Wow.
I know.
That is, just from that experience alone and where you've kind of gotten that grit and grind to get to where you want to be, now you're a mom.
Honey.
And that's a whole nother grit and grind and pressure, right?
In a way that I never imagined that it would be. I think I always pictured myself as a mom someday. Some days now, though, I wake up and I'm like, wait, I'm somebody's mama. I'm somebody's wife. I have a mortgage. Like, when did this happen? For real. Because I think it's something that is aspirational for so many women out there, for people out there. And then when it actually starts happening, when you feel like you're manifesting that life that you've always spoken about, it takes you back.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I guess I gotta do the darn thing. I don't know what kind of words I can use here.
You can use whatever you want.
Okay, I guess I gotta do the
damn thing
now, because who's coming to save me? Nobody. It's gonna be me.
Well, talk about saving, right? When we think about having kids, that support, that family, the help. What was your village like coming with your child?
Honestly speaking, we don't have any of like the grandparents here.
Really?
I have two sets of parents. So I have my mom, my stepdad, my dad, and my stepmom. They are all super supportive, but from afar, because they are all in Texas. My husband's family lives in North Carolina and New Jersey. So right after having the baby, yes, everybody and his mama was here, because I had Beckham in 2018, September 2018. He's gonna be 4 years old.
Oh my goodness.
A whole little man. And the support system as far as them being here Right after he was born, yes. Holidays, yes. But day to day,
Yeah.
it's my husband and me and daycare that he goes to.
But that
every
support
day.
lasts for a week. It's like you're in that week moment or 2 weeks where your family comes and they're like loving on you and it seems so good. But when they walk out that door,
baby,
that feeling, I was like,
I cried.
I cried.
I boo-hoo cried like a baby at the door, looking at my mom. I was like,
yes.
back up on my shoulder. I was like, I don't know. I'm his mom. I need my mom, right? That was a tough realization. And I still have those moments, quite honestly. Sometimes, like when he's sick, especially, girl, because you just think like, I've always turned to my mom or my grandmother when I needed help or when I was sick. And now I'm the person who is being turned to for comfort and for guidance and for support. Yeah. He was just a couple weeks ago. And the whole world stops when your kid's sick, right?
You can't go to work, your husband can't go to work, or your husband goes, or you're stuck home all day.
All of that.
Which also turns to anger, pressure,
resentment.
Need to get outside. You get to get to go somewhere.
All of that, yeah.
Man, but now you got to throw, right. But if you have the support, which your husband, you have that help, right? Where he's able to come in and step to help you all. But how is that also navigating a career, a child, and now I got to also cater to my husband?
I think I realized I was struggling with maintaining and I wouldn't even call it a balance, because it's really a juggling act constantly. You know, which balls can I throw up in the air and they can just be up there for a minute and I got to hold these right now. I think that last year around this time, I hit a breaking point and my husband told me, okay, have you considered therapy? Now, I've never been the kind of person who thought, oh, I don't need therapy. It was more of, I'm handling life fine on my own. Like, occasionally I have like a moment, occasionally I feel a little down, but nothing that lingers for a long time. Well, that changed last year. One of my close friends passed away suddenly last August from breast cancer. One of my closest friends. I mean, like, that was my ride or die from 5th grade, right? And she was young. And that and the pandemic and just and the mommy duties and the not having family nearby and not being able to see family, that I hit a wall. And I remember being curled up in the fetal position, crying. Like, I mean, I was hysterical. And all my husband could do was just hold me. There was nothing he could say. That I just needed to get that out. And that was a moment where I thought, okay, I need to be talking to somebody to kind of get this out, to express how I'm feeling and learn how to deal with it. So I've been in therapy now for about a year, every week or every couple of weeks, depending on my crazy schedule. And it has been extremely helpful. I started with therapy for Black girls because I knew I needed someone who looked like me.
To understand you.
Truly understand me. And I looked for someone who was also a mom. Because there would be certain aspects of my daily existence that I wouldn't even have to explain. I wouldn't have to give a backstory as to why this is pertinent information or why this affected me in this way. She would just know. And my therapist has helped me learn to savor. Savor is probably my word of the now, because there's so many moments as a mom that you don't really savor because you're in the thick of it. You're making breakfast, you're washing clothes. How are you able to take that moment with your child and live in it? And that is something that I credit therapy for giving to me, is savoring. So I really do savor moments, especially when it gets really tough to do so.
And I find myself sometimes not doing that, where I'm pressured and feeling like, maybe I'm not a good mom today, or maybe I didn't do something right, or maybe that bedtime story, I should have read it slower instead of trying to rush to an email. And that's where the mom guilt starts to flow in. And now I'm feeling, what did I do wrong today? And I go beat myself up, try to wake up the next morning, but then that email comes right back up, or that message is going. How do you balance?
Timers, actually, timers and lists. So something that is important to, everybody's day life is time. We all have a certain amount of time to do every task during the day, right? I never want my child to feel as though that anything is more important than him. But sometimes mommy's got to answer that email. And to be able to do that, I set physical timers that he can see. I'll say, Beckham, mommy will play with you in 15 minutes. I'll set that timer where he can see it. And he can see, and he's watching it. He's watching the timer like, he can't even tell time or anything yet, but he can be, okay, you only have a little bit more time left, Mom, a little bit more time left. And he holds me to that, and I hold myself to that. So that's actually really been helpful. And I'm always keeping to a schedule, not just because I do live TV every day, but I try to make sure I give myself the quiet time I need. So first thing in the morning, the very first thing I do in the morning is meditate or boxing or riding in a spin class or doing yoga, something that is just dedicated to me every single day so that I can give to my husband and give at my job that keeps the lights on and give to my son.
Yeah, I tell moms that every week on this episode. We have to remember that we are human too.
Yeah.
We have a life. We're not just moms and that's it. We're not just wives and that's it. We have to make sure our piece is there and we're set safely. So now transitioning a little bit from your experience, when did you actually have Beckham? At what age?
September 2018. I was 4 years ago, 36-ish, 36, 37, something around that time, yeah.
So about 36, did you feel maybe a little bit of a struggle or?
No, I didn't have any issues.
No issues having the baby?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
We got married
She
in
said,
November, baby was pregnant by December. We're like, bam, bam. Well, I also, so my husband and I, full disclosure, had both been married before. Neither of us had kids from our previous marriages, and we had been together for a couple of years at this point, and we knew we wanted to have kids, and I was like, look, our sisters get up there, like, I don't know, like, what fertility looks like with me, because I've never tried to get pregnant before. Let's see what happens. And it happened quickly.
Did you guys, okay, I love to ask this question in a weird way. Was it like practicing moments or was it just like we just
went there.
Did it and it,
I mean, I think we were thinking about it for a while.
Okay.
And then when we said, okay, let's try.
Yeah.
Let's just try. It was actually after our honeymoon. We went to Kauai for our honeymoon. And my mom was like, you got something to tell me? I'm like, no, I don't have anything to tell you. But then like 2 weeks later, I was like, oh.
She dreamed fish or something.
I
mamas and grandmas always speak it up.
Always.
Because my mom actually called me and she said, I dreamed of fish last night.
Here we go.
Are you pregnant? I said, what? No, ma'am. Literally 3 days later, I called her and I said, I'm pregnant.
Yeah, you are. But you didn't think you were at that
I did
point.
not.
Oh,
That's why I was
okay.
like, no,
So,
what are you talking about? I'm just living life out here. And boom, there it was.
They do always know.
Yeah. All right, so I'm sorry for getting a little personal there, but we're about to take a quick break. You guys are listening to the Millennial Mommies Club on Ebony, covering Black America Podcast Network.
You are listening to the Ebony, covering Black America Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Millennial Mommies Club. We are here with Melissa Knowles, and we're about to get into the cookie jar.
Oh, but there are no cookies in there.
Ain't no cookies, but this might be some cookie stuff, some crumbles.
Oh, I get to pick?
Yes,
I thought
please.
I should have got my nails done. Mommy's never asked. I mean, I don't have time. Oh, do I get to ask it or read it?
You read it and you answer.
Wait, I think this is, okay, it's one. Oh, here we go.
Let me see.
Nice handwriting. Do you feel like women have to sacrifice a successful career to focus on motherhood? Yes.
Tell me why.
The short answer is yes. I think, but I also think it's temporary.
Okay.
Temporarily, I had to, and that's something that I'm still learning to grasp. I had to figure out that, oh my goodness, it's not all about me anymore. I'm vain. Mm-hmm. I care what I look like in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not even just in front of the camera. I care what I look like.
On the
but
daily.
More importantly, I care about what I feel like on the inside, and the adjustment from being just Melissa Knowles to being Beckham's mommy was a whole transition that I was not ready for mentally, right? The physical part we can talk about, and like how I got my body back and all of that, although I don't think it'll ever be the same if we're being honest.
Yeah.
I love you. We're like, snap back. I'm
back.
like, girl, bye. Where?
It's never
Good
going to
luck
be
to you.
snap back to it.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
unless we're Kim or Tiana Taylor or something like that.
But hey, and look, more power to those women who feel like they did snap back. I think that maybe your body snaps back in some ways, but mentally, it snaps new. If that's around the world and back snap.
Yeah.
Like you have changed
Yep.
forever. You are evolving. And if you are witnessing yourself as this new person, you begin to understand that you have to change the focal point for a minute. I mean, I was very fortunate in that I worked somewhere where I could take an extended period of time off.
Yeah.
I was off for like 5 months.
Wow.
So I really got the time to nurture my son and to nurture myself a little bit, right? But it's when you go back that you have to figure out, oh, I'm gonna juggle this. Okay. You know, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day and leaving the responsibility of my husband taking care of our son every single day.
What was that? Because
I felt guilty about it at
I was
first.
about to say, you feel guilty, but also, did you ever feel like he couldn't do it as good as you?
Not at all, because he's always been very hands-on and very capable. And I switched that mindset, and this is again from therapy, of feeling guilty to feeling grateful because I have him to be able to do that. Yes, I have such an equally, if not, I mean, sometimes I would say my husband does 70% of the work and I do 30, because you have to have someone like that in your corner if you want to continue with your career. And I see myself as continuing to go up with my career. I'm very dedicated to being a broadcast journalist. And I'm also very dedicated to being a mom and a wife and all the things, a multi-hyphenate, if you will, right? Yeah. And your multi-hyphenate can continue. It just may look a little different.
Now, what does that difference look like? Because I know for me personally, it was time management. Oof. I wasn't able to invest the same time that I did before, but it was also the guilt of traveling. As an entertainment reporter, I may be at the BET Awards this weekend and next week at the VMAs. Right. So for me, it was like, I'm gone too much. And now I'm wondering, do I even have enough time to invest in you when I get back? Did you ever have any of those worries or fears?
So honestly, I haven't had many fears about being away too long, because I haven't. My job is based here in Atlanta. Yeah. It's rare that I have to travel for work, but when I do, I know he's in good hands. I think that the biggest adjustment, you asked that at first, was my weekends. People were like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I have a child.
Yep, nothing.
Whatever I
Let me
need to
pencil
do
you in.
I mean, yeah. Oh, girl, can you go hang out? I'm like, go hang out where? Yeah. Can he come? Because it's not the same anymore. I think I used to relish the weekends because I'm like, okay, I get to like catch up on things, get to rest, binge watch shows on TV. When
you're still up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday.
I mean, but that's late to me since, you know, I get up at 3 o'clock. So now, I mean, on average, honestly, and this is not healthy, I'm not saying people should do this, I get maybe 4.5, 5 hours of sleep a night. I'm kind of used to, it's horrible. I love the face you made. But it's real. It's real. Yeah. Because people are like, what time do you go to bed? Like, I get to go to bed at 6 p.m. or something. Please. I give my child a bath every night. I read him a book every night. And people make fun of me about this. I grease him down. Okay, from head to toe. Because it's how he's a little black baby. My black baby needs to be greased down.
Mine
so
too.
It needs to smell good.
They call my baby, when my kids get out the shower, they call it look like a little glazed donut. Because I am oiled and lotioned, everything.
It needs to happen. My husband is Jewish. He's white, and he's from the Northeast. He didn't know anything about that. I mean, he knew I always smelled good and was moisturized. But when I was doing that, when Beckham first came home, he was like, what are you doing? His parents were confused. Like, what is she doing? I said, this is what we do.
So go there really quick.
Let's go.
Biracial.
Yes.
You having a white husband.
Yes.
What?
Oh, that's a point of contention. Often.
How is that dynamic from his family to yours, looking at the raising of the baby?
So how do I put this? I would say his family, have always been extremely welcoming to me. And they adore Beckham, my son, our son. He is the only grandchild of 6 grandparents. So he is spoiled as spoiled can be. I don't think, and this isn't because I don't think that they fully understand how our son will be seen by the rest of the world. They see him as their grandson. Yes, he's mixed. I see him as a black boy because I know that's who he is. And I had to prepare him for the world in that manner. My husband understands that. We live here in Atlanta. His parents didn't have that same experience. It is important to me that I instill in him the values of being a good person and a good man, and that his moral compass points in the right direction. I also want him to know where he came from. He will be raised Jewish because that is the faith of his father. And he will have a bar mitzvah, all of that. Wow. I don't know if I'm converting or anything like that, but I just want him to know who he is. Yeah. And I feel that sometimes in certain spaces, it is more of a challenge. In spaces that are not as mixed as the company we keep here locally. When we travel as a family, sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge and an adjustment and a reminder of like, oh, that's right. My husband is not a black guy. And that's a problem for you. It's not for me. I'm with who treats me the best in front of y'all and behind closed doors. And that's what's most important.
Yeah. Did your family ever have any kind of any type of conversation with you?
Growing up
about him being...
About him specifically, no. But I do remember, because my parents have always been very open and accepting of whoever we brought home, which there weren't a lot of people I brought home. But I think that my parents, especially after my first marriage, were just like, we want you to be happy. But I do feel that they kind of put Scott through the ringer a little bit, just making sure, vetting him, that he was with me for the right reasons and that he truly loved me. And he has certainly demonstrated that. From day one to them and to everybody else.
So were there any moments throughout your motherhood journey where you would sit down and maybe just be like, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
Were
I'm
there
over
any?
it. How
often do they happen?
Yes. And how do you get over them?
Oh my gosh. It's back to the savoring. I would say I had this one moment. Beckham was probably 2 or 3 weeks old. I have an aversion. All my friends know this. My family already knows this. I have an aversion to vomit. I mean, I cannot be around when it's happening. Okay, I didn't have any morning sickness. I had like the easiest pregnancy there ever was. Okay, so I didn't have any morning sickness. I'm one of those people in college and people push the limits and they go out drinking. I never did that because I'm like, I can't help you and I don't need you to help me. So I never did that. But I know kids get sick all the time. I remember being on speakerphone with my husband. He's talking and I'm trying to burp Beckham and he just projectile like somebody turned the faucet on. I was like, oh my God! I'm just holding him while he does it, right? And then our dog comes,
tries to eat it.
I was like, Rocky, no! And Rocky licked it. I was like, oh, Lord. Then he started getting sick. I'm like, oh my God. And there was nobody and no one. And all I could do was cry. And then I said, you know what? You got to get this together. This is you. This is all you. And so, yes, I have had many of those moments where I felt like I couldn't do this. But then I also thought, who else is going to do it? This is my responsibility. You got to rise to the occasion, girl. You can. Just know that you can and do it and stay in the moment. If I try to focus too much on the future or reflect too much on the past mistakes I've made, or look into the future for what could happen, what might go wrong, I'm missing what's happening right now. That's back to savoring. So that's what I do. That's what gets me through those really tough times.
Yeah, I love that. Now, what advice would you give to moms out there currently?
Advice I'd give to moms. I mean, I'm no authority. The best piece of advice, though, that I would give to a mom is to always make time for yourself, even if it's 30 seconds outside with no one pulling on you, no one asking you, Mommy, for some milk or whatever it is, to take the time for yourself. Because you can't give if you have nothing inside. You can't. And if you're not taking that time, if you're not forcing yourself to set aside that time, I'm telling you, even if it's just 5 minutes, you could set a timer. Give yourself those 5 minutes of peace and quiet. Without your phone, without any distractions. And that will help push you forward in those next 5 minutes and the next 5 minutes after that.
I love that. Melissa, can you just tell them where they can find you, where they can support you and watch your journey and Beckham grow?
I feel like I look like a sweaty mess right now.
No.
Do I not? I feel okay. Okay. So if you want to find me, I am at Knowles It All on all social media platforms. You can check out my website, melissanowlestv.com. And of course, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., you can watch me on HLN. Some of y'all know that as Headline News. Morning Express with Robin Meade. I am your entertainment correspondent.
Love that there. Listen, you guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of the Millennial Mommies Club. Melissa Knowles, thank you for joining us. And I'll see you all next week on Ebony covering Black America Podcast Network.